In Cedarville, a quiet American town, an ordinary woman named Jane Matthews became the hero the nation didn't know it needed. Over just a few weeks, she uncovered a hidden criminal network, risked her life to protect her neighbors, and inspired millions online. From mysterious incidents in her town to viral headlines across the country, Jane's courage transformed her from a local journalist into a symbol of bravery and integrity. She faced threats, solved dangerous puzzles with her friend Mark, and helped families caught in the chaos, all while capturing the hearts of Americans everywhere. In 1 month, her story went from small-town news to a nationwide phenomenon, proving that one person's determination can change everything. It all began on a seemingly ordinary morning in Cedarville. Jane Matthews, 32, was a community volunteer and local journalist known for her dedication, but never for seeking the spotlight. That week, strange incidents, power outages, road closures, and unexplained signals shook the town. Residents were anxious, local authorities were struggling, and Jane's investigative instincts kicked in. She began documenting every incident, interviewing witnesses, and analyzing patterns. Soon, she discovered unusual activities near the abandoned textile factory, suspicious vehicles, shadowy figures, and coded messages. Recognizing the danger, she partnered with Mark Henderson, a young IT specialist, to decode messages and uncover evidence. Together, they exposed a sophisticated criminal operation affecting not just Cedarville but linked to a national network. Jane's work spread quickly on social media. Residents shared her updates, expressing support and admiration. Despite receiving threats from unknown perpetrators, she persevered, visiting victims, supporting families, and keeping the community informed. Her bravery and dedication inspired nationwide attention. By the end of the month, Jane Matthews had become a household name. Television networks called. Social media exploded with trending hashtags like hashtag Cedarville Hero and hashtag Jane Matthews. And the nation watched as an ordinary woman demonstrated extraordinary courage. Her story wasn't just about crime, it was about humanity, bravery, and the impact one individual can make. After Cedarville's mysterious events went viral, Jane Matthews became a national symbol of courage. But the threats she uncovered were bigger than anyone imagined. The criminal network she exposed was not just targeting her town, they had far-reaching influence across the country. Jane knew she had to act fast to protect her community and countless others. As Jane Matthews' story spread across social media, she started receiving calls from concerned citizens from other towns. People shared similar incidents, strange power outages, suspicious vehicles, and unexplained signals. It became clear that the problem was no longer local. Jane, determined to continue her work, decided to create a small investigative team. Mark Henderson, her trusted IT partner, recruited a few more volunteers with expertise in cybersecurity, law enforcement, and journalism. Together, they formed a tight-knit group, analyzing patterns and connecting incidents across different towns. Their goal was not only to uncover the truth but also to prevent more communities from falling victim. Meanwhile, Jane faced personal challenges. Threatening letters arrived at her home, strangers followed her on the streets, and social media trolls attempted to discredit her work. Despite the danger, Jane remained focused. She knew that stopping now would mean letting the criminals succeed. One night, Jane and Mark discovered encrypted communications pointing to an upcoming coordinated attack in a neighboring town. They quickly alerted local authorities, but the official response was slow. Frustrated but undeterred, Jane decided to personally warn the residents, using social media live streams to reach as many people as possible. Her broadcasts went viral within hours, drawing millions of viewers. The town was prepared in time, and the potential disaster was avoided. Jane's courage caught the attention of national media outlets. Talk shows, news channels, and online platforms invited her to share her story. She became a voice for ordinary citizens everywhere, inspiring thousands to take action against threats in their own communities. Yet the criminals were not finished. They escalated their tactics, sending false leads, hacking into systems, and attempting to intimidate Jane's team. Each challenge made Jane and her team stronger. They learned to anticipate moves, stay one step ahead, and document evidence meticulously. By now, Jane Matthews was no longer just a local hero, she had become a symbol of resilience, intelligence, and bravery. Her story demonstrated that one person's determination, combined with teamwork and technology, could take on even the most sophisticated criminal networks. Jane Matthews' story was already viral across the United States. But what she didn't know was that the shadows she had been exposing for weeks had already begun closing in on her silently and dangerously. And the criminal network she thought was small and local was actually a powerful multi-state organization that had infiltrated towns, silenced investigators, and manipulated systems for years. And now their biggest threat was not the government or the police but Jane herself. And this moment would become the turning point when the hunter became the hunted. It all began one evening when Mark called her urgently, his voice shaky and unlike his usual calm nature as he said, "Jane, don't go outside. I think they found your location." Jane froze, moved slowly to her window, and saw a dark SUV parked near her driveway with tinted windows, engine running, and no movement. And she felt a cold rush of fear, because this was not coincidence. Mark reached her house minutes later and together they turned her living room into a fast emergency setup with their investigation board filled with maps, codes, photos, and intercepted signals. Their small team joined through secure calls Lisa the law student, Daniel the retired detective, and Chris the cybersecurity analyst. As they combed through data and cross-referenced the SUV, tower pings, and encrypted messages, a bigger pattern emerged that shocked them. This organization had previously been investigated by officials who were forced out of their jobs, threatened, or mysteriously vanished. And now Jane had unintentionally pushed directly into the center of their operation by exposing their communication routes and their pattern of attacks across multiple towns. The next morning, media started reporting similar strange incidents in different states, proving the network was accelerating instead of hiding. And Jane realized she had no choice but to warn the public herself. She went live on social media, her voice steady but emotional, telling millions, "If anything happens to me or my team, understand everything we uncovered is real and they are moving fast." Within minutes, her stream exploded across the country, comments flooding in, people from other towns confirming similar threats. And one woman from Arizona wrote, "They were here too. Please don't stop." But in the middle of her stream, the lights in Jane's house flickered. The video froze, the connection cut out, and for several seconds the screen went black for millions of viewers who panicked thinking something had happened to her. When the stream returned, Jane was breathing heavily. Noises hitting her roof were audible, and Mark shouted from another room, "They're trying to jam the network." The house shook slightly and Jane stared into the camera saying, "They are not hiding anymore and neither will we." And the stream hit over 18 million views, becoming the most shared broadcast of the week. That night, Daniel arrived with new intel, his voice trembling as he said, "Jane, I think we know who is behind this, and it's someone no one would ever expect." And when Jane looked at the documents, her face changed because the truth inside them was bigger, darker, and far more explosive than anything she had exposed before. And this revelation was about to shake the entire nation. Jane Matthews stared at the documents Daniel brought, and the entire truth hit her like a shock wave, because the name written on top was someone untouchable, someone powerful, someone who had been appearing on national news for years pretending to protect communities while secretly running the very criminal network Jane had been exposing. And that name was Adrian Cole, the man leading a major federal security initiative and the same man who had publicly praised Jane's courage on live television just a week earlier. The realization was terrifying, because it meant the enemy wasn't hiding in abandoned factories or dark SUVs alone, but sitting inside official offices, controlling information, shutting down whistleblowers, and using small towns like Cedarville as testing grounds for their operations. Jane felt her heartbeat pounding, but she knew this information couldn't stay hidden even for a second. Her team gathered quickly, Mark securing digital copies, Chris encrypting communication lines, Lisa preparing legal documentation, and Daniel locking all physical evidence. Suddenly they heard engines outside, multiple vehicles stopping at once, and Jane whispered, "They're here." The lights flickered again, and for a moment the air felt heavy, like the silence before a storm. Jane didn't panic. Instead, she grabbed her phone, hit go live, and millions joined within seconds because by now the country watched her like a lifeline. With steady breath, she said, "The truth you're about to hear is the reason they are outside right now." She exposed Adrian Cole's role, the forged reports, the hidden accounts, the forced resignations of officials who tried to fight back. And as she read line after line, the comment section exploded with shock, anger, and support. The vehicles outside revved louder, but suddenly sirens echoed from the distance because Jane's stream reached journalists, activists, and honest officers who were already forwarding her evidence to high-level authorities. And within minutes, the Federal Protection Unit arrived, forcing the dark SUVs to retreat. For the first time in weeks, the danger stepped back. Jane's team was surrounded by officers who confirmed that her evidence had triggered an emergency investigation across multiple states. Adrian Cole was detained that same night while attempting to flee through a private route, and news channels everywhere broadcasted Jane's live stream on repeat, calling her the woman who changed everything. But for Jane, the victory wasn't about fame. It was about the people she had promised to protect from day one. When she stepped outside her house the next morning, the entire street was filled with neighbors, supporters, and media crews. But the loudest sound was the applause of ordinary people who saw her not as a journalist or a viral figure, but as someone who fought for them when no one else would. Jane Matthews didn't just expose a criminal network, she exposed weakness in a system and built strength in a nation. And her story became the most viewed, most shared, and most inspiring news story of the year in the United States, proving once again that a single determined person can shake the powerful, protect the innocent, and change the course of history.